And we can implement this abstraction in two ways, that is data abstraction, process abstraction. Very simple. If you are trying to hiding the data, that is called data abstraction, and you are trying to hiding the procedure, the implementation, that is called abstraction. But the general definition is hiding the implementation and providing the result, that is called abstraction. Yeah, let me repeat because my mic is in mute. Second category is encapsulation, that is important feature. We can define encapsulation as binding variables and methods as a single unit. See this image, with the help of this you can understand the concept. In a class, we have variables and method. Method is nothing but a function. If you write a function within a class, that is called a method. Binding the process of binding variables and methods encapsulation. By seeing this, also you can understand that in a class, if you're, that is the process of encapsulation. Capsules. In our life, we may find capsules and tablets. So actually, within that we have a medicine in the form of a powder. Okay, combining that plastic coat and powder, that is makes a capsule. Okay, so this is just like a combining variables and methods to create the process of encapsulation. The next feature of the OOPS is inheritance. Very simple it is. Inheritance is the process of creating a new class from the existing class. Suppose if you have some class in your program, if you want to create a new class from the existing class, nothing but whenever you're trying to create a new class by using the existing class, your new class also will get the properties from the existing class. That existing class is called base class, or you may call it as superclass or parent class also. All are valid terms. Let me repeat what is inheritance. Inheritance is a process of creating a new class from the existing class. The existing class is called base class or superclass or parent class. Next, the newly created class is called derived class or child class or subclass. Okay, so this is about inheritance. See this image. This is a real life example for inheritance similarities. Right. For example, we have the class with the name human. Every human has generally two legs, two hands, one head, some structure. So those are some similarities for the all human beings. Okay, so the word from the human being, we are getting some properties, common similarities. And suppose your dad and mom, this is from either your mom or your dad. Okay, obviously this is what we find in our real life. Nothing but acquiring some properties, some behaviors from your parents. That is also real life example for the inheritance concept. See this coding example. Generally, we use this type of the structure to implement inheritance. My class name is vehicle. Vehicle is a class, and what are the functions done by the vehicle, or what are the behaviors we can find in the vehicle? Those are represented with the help of the methods. Fuel amount is one of the method. Capacity, apply brakes. You can take any methods. Just I am using some names. Suppose if you observe clearly, this is important point. We have three classes where these three are called derived classes. Observe the arrow marks. Arrow marks means this class is a derived class of this class, vehicle class. Because bus, car, truck, all are vehicles only. But these are specific names for the vehicles, right? That's why bus, car, truck are called child classes for the superclass vehicle. So in this example, vehicle is a superclass or parent class or base class, and bus, car, truck, all these are called child classes or subclasses. Okay, or derived classes also. All are valid. Next important feature in the OOPS concept is polymorphism. So this is a Greek word actually. Poly means many, morph means faces, many faces. If one object shows the different behaviors, that is called polymorphism in general. For example, see this real life example. We have the steering in all the vehicles in general. Okay, but vehicle steering is same, but the same steering may be used in the different vehicles with the different functionalities. So one object can show the different actions, but the object is same steering. So this is a real life example to understanding the concept of polymorphism. So coming to the technical definition, One operator or one method shows the different behaviors called polymorphism. The different behaviors. Another real life example to understanding polymorphism. For example, we have the water in the liquid form, right? Water changes to solid form when it frozen in the ice form, right? And water changes to gas when it is heated at its boiling point. So the point is the thing is same, that is water, but we are applying some different inputs. Frozen is input that may be changed into the ice. Okay, and suppose when you're trying to heat it, the input is heat. That water may be changed the form from liquid to gas. So here you must understand the thing is same, water, but that may show the different behaviors when you apply different inputs. So this is what polymorphism. We have two types of the polymorphism. Those are compile time polymorphism and runtime polymorphism. And the compile time polymorphism can be implemented using the concepts method overloading and the operator overloading. Generally, we have method overloading concept and operator overloading. The runtime polymorphism, we use the general topic method overriding to implement runtime polymorphism concept. Let me tell you the definition about the class and object. This is very important, very frequently asked question as per your examination point of view also. Listen carefully. I will try to make it simple to you. What is class? A class is a collection of the similarities in simple words, in general words. A class is collection of similarities. For example, let us say we have the three different fruits: apple, banana, mango. If you want to give a common name, if you want to give a common name for these three fruits, that is nothing but the word fruit because all are fruits only. Okay, all may have the common features like taste. Every fruit has some taste. Taste, the taste may be different, but I am using the word taste. Every fruit has a taste. The sentence is correct. Size, every fruit has some size, some color. All these are properties. If you write all these common properties in a single unit, that is called a class. Okay, a class is a collection of similarities. So this is about class. One more example: suppose if your class name is car and the instances of the class becomes objects. What is object? Instance of a class is called object. Or simply example, let us say in simple words. See, if our class is car, the objects of car will be Volvo, Audi, Toyota, Maruti Suzuki, and so on. Those becomes objects to the class car. Okay. So car is nothing but a template for objects. This is just like a not filled form, a form which doesn't have any data, empty form. If you fill it, that becomes an object. Car is outline, outline word car. Okay, that car may be a Volvo car object that exists. Car is not exist, right? Car doesn't have the physical existence. But if you say Volvo car, that is physical existence, Audi car, physical existence, and so on. Okay, so this is about the class and objects. Now, generally, class is used to store behaviors and states of a particular entity. Suppose I have one object, let us say a dog. Every dog has some properties, right? For example, size, weight, number of legs, obviously four, uh, like color. So that has some properties, and every dog can do some actions in general: eating, barking, running, sleeping. So these are the actions can be done by the dog, right? So if you identify the object, what are the behavior you found or what are the actions can be done by the objects are implemented with the help of the concepts of methods in Java. Actions of the object, behavior of the objects can be implemented with the methods in Java. Next point is the properties of the objects can be implemented with the help of the variables. Suppose I have the property like weight. Weight is a property. The value of the weight is, let us say, 10 kgs. Okay, 10 kg is a value. The property is weight. That weight is a variable. We use variable concept to store the weight. Okay, this is about variables and methods also. So object is an instance of a class as we covered. Well, a class is a blueprint of an object or empty file, just like. Then, how to create a class and how to create the object using Java programming language. The syntax to create a class is class. Class is a keyword in Java. Class space. Then write the class name where you should not give the space for the class name, and don't use any special symbols. Okay, generally we need to follow those rules. Class space class name, create the block with help of the braces, and here we are writing fields or variables to store the data, method or methods to implement the behavior or actions of the objects. This is about how to create a class, general syntax. Then how to create the object. To create the object, we need to follow the syntax like class name. We need to write the class name, space object name or variable name. Assignment. New is a keyword which is used to allocate the memory dynamically. Space class name parenthesis semicolon. So this is the syntax to create object in Java. For example, if we write a statement like student space std assignment new student semicolon, hmm, where student is a class and std is a object name. In the previous slide, we have seen the syntax to create the object. In this case, std is a object name. This gives the reference to the memory location. We have different types of the memories in the computer. One is stack, another is heap area. In the heap memory, all the values related to this particular object will be stored. Whenever you create the object, that give the reference, that give the directions where the actual values are available, and the object values are available in heap memory. By default values for the name is null because name is a string type. So the default value for the string type is null. Default value means even though you are not assigning a value, it maintains some value internally. That is called default value. The default value for the string is null, for integer values 0, for float values 0. 0.0. See a complete program to understand how to write class, how to write object, and how to call the methods. Okay, focus here. Class name, first step in Java is you must create the class. Without creating the class, you cannot write any program. Class, class name, class, class name. Okay, and create the block using braces. Then here I want to store three values like a person name or a student name, student roll number, and a student age. Okay, the intention of this program is I want to store a student name, student roll number, student age, and I want to print that on the screen as a result of this program. So for that, we need to declare the variables, appropriate variables to fulfill your requirement. I want to store the name. So if you want to store the name, the data type must be string type, right? A string is used to store a names of the person, place, thing, etc. Then in our example, let us say rule number is integer value. That's why I declared rule number data type is integer. And age, obviously age is also a number, na? So you must declare age as a integer type. Next, void info. Observe here. Void info is called method. Void info is a method. So method is nothing but a function. If you have the knowledge about C language, if you write a function within the class, that is called a method. So void info is a method. Void represent it doesn't return any value. The name of the method is info. And create a block. Every method has some body. And within that, just I want to print the values name within the double quotes. If you write any text, that will be printed as it is. After that, I am writing plus. In this case, plus is called concatenation operator. Concatenation operator is used to concatenate a string constant. That is what we have written the text in the double quotation marks with the value of the name. So if you observe here, we are not writing double quotation marks here because I want to print what is the value available in the name variable that will be printed here. If you write double quotation marks, that will be printed as it is. Rule number is, then rule number value. What is the value we stored in the rule number variable that will be printed here. Like I want to print age also. Okay, we will pass the values later on. So this is the closing of class. This is the starting point of the class. Okay, now see, write the main method. Public static void main string args as we covered in our sessions. So this is very important step. So here we are creating the object for the class. As we covered just now, what is the syntax we need to follow to create the object? Class name, space, object name. You can give any name here. Assignment, new, class name. So this is how to create the object. Then how to assign the values for these variables. We created variables now, but we are not passing any values. For that, we need to pass the values with help of the student. Now, I want to store the values into the variable name. How to write the code? Object name dot variable name, that is name itself. We created a variable with the name. So object name dot variable name assignment name So this is a string constant. Na? We should write within the double quotation marks. So within the double quotes, write any name. Okay, let us say that is Ramesh. Then object name student dot roll number assignment operator. You can assign one hall ticket number of the that particular person. Student dot age. Student is object and dot age. Age is a variable. Assignment assign some value. So this is how to assigning the values for the variables. Right now, how to call this method? If you want to call a method, we need to follow the syntax like object name dot method name. What is the object name we created for this class is student, where S is small letter, lowercase letter. Okay. Observe here in this student S is capital letter, in this student S is lowercase letter. Otherwise, if you there is any chance to confuse for you, you can give any other name here like std. Okay, then std becomes the object for that class. With the help of that object you can call the method. See, in my example student is the object, right? We created object here, object name dot method name, where method name is info. So object name dot method name, this is going to redirected where your method is, nothing but it is going to redirected like this internally. Okay, then the execution of the info method starts and the values of the name, rule number and age will be printed. So if you run this code, you will get the output like name Ramesh, rule number 253, age 25. So this is the output of this program. If you have any doubts here, you can ask. Right. So I covered that methods. What is method? How to write the method? The intention of the method is to implement the behavior or actions of the objects. Okay. Right. Next topic, as per your syllabus, is constructors. This is also a very important topic. See now, what is constructor? Constructor is also just like a method. Point. But what is the major difference between method and constructor? I think you have the knowledge about the C language. So if you want to activate any function in C language, you need to write function calling statement. I think you remember, right? You need to write function calling statement. If you are not writing the function calling statement, the function won't be executed. The function will not be activated. But to the constructor concept, no need to call this constructor explicitly. Just write the constructor and try to create the object for that particular class. So when you create the object for that class, automatically the constructor will be called. Okay. In this case, no need to call that explicitly. That is the important feature of the constructor. Okay. Every class has a constructor, either implicitly or explicitly. What does it mean is, if you want to create the constructor explicitly manually, you can write the code which is used to create the constructor in your class. Suppose if you are not writing any code that is used to create the constructor, implicitly internally the JVM creates one constructor. The constructor which is created by JVM is called default constructor. What I am saying is, constructor is also a method. No need to call it. It will be executed automatically when you create the object for the class. If you are writing the code for the constructor, you may write it. That is explicitly you are writing the code. Whenever you are not writing any code to create the constructor, JVM creates a constructor internally. That constructor is called default constructor. Okay, then some more facts, some more facts. While you are creating the constructor, you must remember that constructor name must be same as the class name in which class you are writing that code. Very, very important rule. The constructor name must be same as the class name in which class you are writing the constructor. Next point is, the constructor doesn't have any return type. Okay, a method can return the values, but constructor doesn't have any return values. So constructor in Java cannot be abstract, static, and final. So you cannot use the keywords like abstract, static, and final for the constructors, but you can use these for the methods. Just to go through these points. If you have any doubts, let me know. Otherwise, I can go for the next slide. Right. So I covered this already. What are the major differences between constructor and methods? Now, next point, how to create this constructor and what are the different types of the constructors provided by the Java. So this is also very frequently asked question to you as per your examination point of view. Listen, Java supports two types of the constructors. Java supports two types of the constructors. First one is default constructor. Second one is parameterized constructor. Default constructor and parameterized constructor. Okay. So what is default constructor? If you are not creating a constructor, the system provides some constructor. I covered that point just now. that is called system defined default constructor. In the same way, you can write your own default constructor that is called user defined default constructor. Okay, and next one is parameterized constructor. You can pass the parameters. Observe this. Suppose, see this statement: class name, object name, assignment, new, class name. This is called default constructor. System defined default constructor. If whenever you are not creating, this is called default constructor, but actually this is user defined. Okay, user defined default constructor. And here parameterized constructor, nothing but if you write something within the parenthesis, that is nothing but parameter name. This is called parameterized constructor. Okay. So see, default constructor. A constructor is said to be a default constructor if it doesn't have any parameters. Okay. See this, it doesn't have any parameter. Parameter is nothing but a name within the parenthesis. That is called parameter. Okay, which is used to pass the information. If a class contain a constructor with no parameter, then it is known as user defined default constructor. Suppose if a class doesn't contain any constructor during the runtime, then JVM generates a default constructor that is called as system defined default constructor. You are not writing any constructor code, but internally JVM creates that. That is called system defined. Okay, system defined default constructor. See this code. This is the example to understand the word user defined default constructor. Observe carefully. Class name, add demo1. Observe this. What is this? This name is same as class name. Na? Class name is also add demo1. This method name is also add demo1. So this is called constructor. The constructor name must be same as class name. It doesn't have any return type. So we are following all the rules what we covered about the constructors. And within the constructor, so this is the starting point of the constructor, this is the ending point of the constructor. And within the constructor, what I am writing is creating the variables a, b and assigning the values 10, 5 respectively, and creating one more extra variable called c, and c assignment a plus b, simple. Okay, summation of the a plus b and storing that result in the variable c. For the understanding purpose, just I am writing this output statement. What is the output statement in Java? We covered already. System.out.println, print line. Within the double quotation marks, what you write that will be printed as it is on the screen. So just I am writing default constructor because this is a default constructor. Na? To understand the point, I am writing default constructor. And now I want to print the value of C on the screen. How to write the code? System.out.println. Sum of the a comma b is if you want. Otherwise, total of 10 plus 5 or 10 and 5. You can write anything within the double quotations. Okay? That won't raise any error. Concatenated with plus symbol. Plus symbol means concatenation in this case. And where you have the result? C, na? Because we stored that variable in C. So concatenated with C. Now, if you observe the output screen is total default constructor in the first line. The second line, total of 10 plus 5 because we are writing that only total of 10 plus 5. Assignment. In place of the C, what is the value the C has? A plus B, where A 10, B 5, that is 15. So in place of C, 15 will be printed. So this is about writing constructor only, right? Now close the constructor, come to the main method. Public static void main string are common for the all programs. Within the main method, now see this is what creating the object for the class. Already I covered now how to create the object for the class. Class name space, object name, assignment, new, class name. So here we are creating the object. Now this is very important point. So constructor is also a method, but the property is no need to call it explicitly. Whenever you are trying to creating the object for that particular class, see, we are creating the object for the demo class, add demo one class. Automatically, the constructor will be activated. No need to call that constructor explicitly like functions. See the code? In the for method concept, you need to call it the method. Na? Just now we have seen info method. How the info method will be activated? We need to write the code like object name dot info. We have written that, right? But here I am not calling add demo. No need to call it because just try to create the object for that class. Automatically, this constructor will be invoked. You must remember this part. And how can you say this is a default constructor? Because a constructor without parameters. Parameters means if you have any values within this parenthesis, those are called constructor without parameters is called default constructor. In this case, we are writing the code for this default constructor. We are writing, not JVM is creating. That's why it is called user define default constructor. Okay. Then parameterized constructor, that is second category of the constructors. So the same concept can be called as constructor overloading also. Okay. Two headings, but concept is same. Let me show you the example code. See this code once. Name within a class. Just I am writing default constructor. Constructor name, class name must be same. Number one, and this must not have the parameters. So it is a default constructor. And starting point, ending point of the default constructor. Within that constructor, just I want to print a message like default constructor. How to write that code? System.out.println default constructor. Clear. This is about default constructor only. Now, see this code. Example, the name is same as class name, so it is a constructor. And within the parenthesis, we have some values now, ij of integer type. So these are called parameters. Constructor. In this example, we have the parameterized constructor with two integer arguments. Then within that, just I want to print simple message, output statement, system.out.println, constructor with two parameters. You can write anything, no, not only this one. Just I want to make it clear to you. That's why I want to write something within the parameterized constructor. One more thing, example, same name, but three arguments. Observe here, we have three parameters now. In this example, we have two parameters only, ij. Here, I a parameterized constructor with the three parameters. Without parameter, default constructor. With parameters, parameterized constructor. Point one. Point two, example int ij. This is a parameterized constructor. This is also a parameterized constructor because that has parameters. 0.2. Next, here we have two parameters only of into type. Here we have three parameters of into type. That is the major difference between these two parameterized constructors. Constructor with two parameters, constructor with the three parameters. Like you can take any number of the parameters depend on your requirement. Now, come to the main method, continuation of the same code, same program. Public static void main stringers as usual. Now, observe here, just creating the object for the class. Class name example, object name is obj. Assignment new class name. When you write this code, automatically default constructor will be activated. What is the default constructor? This one. Okay. So this part is activated. This part. Okay. So what we have within this default constructor will be printed, right? When that will be activated? When the then next example class name object name is obj2 assignment new example. I'm passing two parameter values here. Now the constructor with the name example and with the two integer values will be activated. Now see what is the constructor we have relevant to that code? This one. Example with two integer values. So this will be activated. And 12 will be passed to I comma j respectively. Okay. I value becomes 12. J value also becomes 12. Whatever the values you want to pass, you can pass. Okay. Then within that constructor, what we have constructor with the two parameters that will be printed on the screen. And again, it comes to this point. Next, it starts the execution of third statement. Class name, object name, assignment, new example, 1, 2, 3. Nothing but a constructor with three arguments of int type. If you have any code relevant to this, that will be executed. See the code? Yes, we have a constructor with three parameters of int type. So this will be activated now. And a constructor with the three parameters will be displayed. Now see the output screen. If you execute this code, you will get the output like default constructor, constructor with two parameters, constructor with three parameters. This is the output of this code. So if you get the question like what is constructor, explain about different types of the constructors, then you can write this as an answer. First, you need to write the definition about the constructor and the rules you need to follow while working with the constructors. Okay. After that, you need to write types of the constructors, default constructor and a parameterized constructor. You need to give the definition of define. What does it mean? If a constructor doesn't have any parameters, that is called default constructor. If any constructor has the parameters, that is called parameterized constructor. Then write the example. So in this example, we are implementing two things, default constructor and a parameterized constructor. So if you write this code, okay, this program, that is enough to implement the two types of the constructors. Default constructors we are implementing in this example and parameterized constructor also we are implementing. So this is your work. Okay. Next is access modifiers. Very simple. So by the word you can understand that access modifiers. We can modify the accessing mechanism of a method or variable by using these access modifiers. So Java provides four types of the access modifiers. Those are default, public, protected, and private. Okay. Java provides four access modifiers. The names are default, public, protected, private. Then let us try to understand these one by one. Default has the scope only inside the same package, and no need to use the keyword default. If you are not using any keyword, the meaning is by default that is a default type access modifier, and the default type variables or methods can be accessed within the same package only. A package is nothing but a collection of the similar classes, collection of the relative methods, and so on. That is called a package. So if you define a package, and if you are using some variables in that package or class, that access modifier is within the package only. If the access modifier is default, you cannot access that out of the package. Suppose if you have two packages, if you define any method access modifier as default, you cannot access that method from the another package. You must access from the same package only. Public, as the name you can understand, this is public, so it has no scope, no restrictions for this type of the methods or variables. You can access it from any package, any class, anywhere you can access that. Third category is protected. Protected has scope within the package plus for all its child classes. Okay, if you have any variable within a class, you can access that within the package, and subclasses of that particular class. That is called protected. Private, so you can access that within the same class only. Private means no one can access that from the out of the class. That is what private. So with the help of this, you can understand that. So this is public. For example, street lights are the public property, right? Anyone can access that. No restrictions at all. For example, private example is WhatsApp, your chats. Obviously, that might be private to you only. You only can access your WhatsApp account. Okay, no one has to access that. That is about private. Protected, suppose if you have some properties like home, cars, etc., you can access that because that assets is yours. After that, your son or your daughter may can access that because those are children of you. Like that, protected is also same thing. You can access that protected variable within the same class or same package, and the children of that particular class. Default. Default means, for example, if you have the television or TV in your home, if anyone enters into your home, by default they can watch your television. Okay, no need to ask you for your permission to watch the TV in general, right? By default, everyone can access that who are in the home. So that is called default. So that's it. This is about the access modifier. This is also very important topic. Please try to remember this also. Right. Any doubts? If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Otherwise, post in the chat box. I will try to give the answer for your questions. Yeah, thank you. Okay, I'll share this document with you. Go through it. After that, also, if you have any doubt, you can ask me in the next session also. Okay. Right. Thank you, Vandal. Right. Thank you. Bye. Right, Abhi. Thank you.